Secrets are funny things. At this point, I've forgotten more of them than I currently keep, which is probably just as well. It's not just the secrets from other lives that slip away, but even the ones shared in this life. Most of the time, it's simply a matter of not finding what people have to say all that interesting. The truth is, I've kept far more of other people's secrets than my own, and over time, they blur together into a fog of trivialities and forgotten details, whispers that were once so urgent to someone else, but never quite made an impact on me. It's odd how some things are so delicate and huge for certain people, yet the very same matters can seem entirely trivial to others. I suppose that's always been the case. What weighs heavily on one person's shoulders can barely graze the next. For me, I've always been the stable one. There's a certain use in that. I can take on more responsibility than most, but there's a price. The weak tend to cling to stability like a life raft, and I've found myself surrounded by those who can't quite stand on their own. That's another funny thing about getting older, isn't it? You notice things about the elderly that start to make sense as the years pass. Patience, for one, seems to go out the window. I've seen it time and again. The older people get, the less they seem to care about the trivialities of others' dramas. It's as if, after so many years of carrying other people's burdens, they finally allow themselves the freedom to just stop giving a damn. It's not that they don't care about anything, but their tolerance for nonsense, well, that seems to evaporate. And I can understand why. There's a beauty in it, really. Take the old man's slippers, for instance. Hideous things. But oh, so comfortable. That's what life becomes about after a while. The comfort over the appearance. The easy over the complicated. We spend so much of our lives worrying about how things look, how they come across, and then one day you wake up and realize you just want to be comfortable. The fuss, the performance, it all starts to fade. Maybe that's why old people seem to grow bolder, sharper in their words. They've earned the right to let go of what doesn't matter, to embrace the simplicity of an easy life. I'm not quite there yet, but I can feel it creeping in. The things that once demanded so much energy, keeping everyone else's secrets, minding everyone else's business, don't feel as pressing anymore. It's freeing in a way, though it does leave me questioning what I want to carry forward. What's worth holding on to, and what can be left behind, forgotten like all those secrets that once seemed so important. I suppose the real secret is this. You don't need to keep everything. Some things are meant to slip away, to lighten the load, and the older you get, the more you realize how little you truly need to hold on to. In the spirit of lightening the load, I suppose I should share one of my secrets. But let's be honest, someone like me, with a lifetime of guarding such things, isn't about to reveal anything too damaging. I'm not so foolish as to give you something that could be used against me, but I'll share something amusing nonetheless, as it's a decision I've yet to make. A little while ago, a magical practitioner of some renown passed away unexpectedly. It wasn't someone I knew particularly well, but you might have heard of him, one of those names that circulates in certain circles of our kind. When a witch like that dies, there's always a little bit of interest in what happens to their tools, their belongings, their artifacts. Sometimes it's amusing, sometimes horrifying, especially for the family if they didn't know their loved one was involved in the occult. In this case, though, the family was well aware, and there were no surprises. Provisions had been made for this man's possessions. His tools, relics, and assorted artifacts of the craft were to be sent to various places, including a famous museum. But during a conversation with the person tasked with helping to handle all of this, something caught my attention. This person, a respectable and honourable practitioner, though one with a sense of humour very similar to my own, let slip something rather interesting. They mentioned that one of the relics from the deceased practitioner had been returned to the earth, buried in a discreet location because of its questionable nature. Now, you know me, such things always pique my interest. Knowing the location of this relic, I couldn't help myself. One night, I may or may not have paid a visit to the site and, well, retrieved it. It wasn't exactly difficult, hardly a secure location, but now this relic, made from some very dubious materials, sits in my occult collection. Here's the dilemma I face now. I could use the relic for my own magical workings. It holds a certain power, and there's potential for some very intriguing experiments. But the real reason I took it was for a more playful purpose, a practical joke, if you will. You see, the person who told me about the relic, the one who helped arrange its burial, has a rather elaborate stone circle in their garden. It's a beautiful, powerful space, one that they take quite seriously, as you'd expect. My plan was to wait a year, then on an auspicious night, Halloween seems particularly appropriate, I would sneak into their garden and place the relic in the centre of the circle. Just imagine it, this object, which they thought had been safely returned to the earth, suddenly reappearing in their sacred space. The shock, the confusion, it would be priceless. I can almost picture their reaction now, perhaps wondering if some unseen force had returned the relic, or if they themselves had missed something in its burial. But now I'm torn. Do I go through with this prank, or do I simply keep the relic for my own use? The temptation to play the trick is strong. It would be a wonderful bit of mischief, and it would likely stir up some interesting energy in the circle. On the other hand, the relic has a certain power that could be useful in ways beyond a mere joke. Decisions. Perhaps I'll let it sit a while longer and see where the spirits guide me. After all, secrets are only fun when there's a bit of suspense, aren't they?